For the first time in a while, Prospective Knights are once again touring the campus.
And a new science offering on campus delves into the intriguing world of forensics. Hello, and welcome to KEHS. I'm Megan Knight.
And I'm Rachel Barker. Thank you for joining us on this edition of KnightVision News. After spring break, the admission department started prospective student tours. The tours give admitted students the chance to get a thorough look at our beautiful campus and what goes on inside the classes. Here's field reporter Lucas Dolliboy with those newly reinstituted student tours.
Our high school, EHS, recently announced we are doing prospective student tours for the first time since COVID-19 hit. These tours start in the chapel with Miss Spooner or Miss Wasden, the two leaders on the admissions team. They talk to accepted 8th graders about EHS and what they can expect if they go here. From there, the students will go through the Trinity Courtyard and into the USC or go past the gym in the fields. From there, the tours either go into the Trotter Building or the English and Language Arts Building. Finally, the tours will make their way back to the chapel.
As you can see behind me, Miss Spooner is leading a tour of the campus and showing the admitted students what it's like and how life like is around Episcopal High School.
We talked to Miss Spooner about her job and what she thinks about these tours.
This year, because we weren't able to have tours earlier in the fall, we're just having them this spring. And when we take students and parents on tours, what we do is we really just give them a trip around the campus. So we talk about all of the highlights of the buildings and kind of what goes on there. And while doing that, also explain to them opportunities for once they arrive here, everything from enrollment and class placement to summer programs and pre-seasons.
I'm Lucas Dolliboy reporting for KEHS News.
Thanks, Lucas. It's always nice to see incoming freshmen around campus. Next up, we go deep into the newest of science classes at EHS, forensics, with reporter Quan Marion to find out what Miss Foster's class is all about.
Science, also known as criminalistics, is the application of science to criminal and civil laws. Mainly on the criminal side, during a criminal investigation, as governed by legal standards of admissible evidence and criminal procedure. Here now, we talk to Ms. Foster, EHS's forensic teacher, about what more can we learn about forensics in her class itself.
I started teaching this class in August, and of course the first 2 or 3 weeks were virtual, and so last semester was the first course and the first time it's been offered at EHS, and this would be the second semester. So already I find myself sort of revising and tweaking some things I did in the fall, just based on our schedule. So we have, our first unit is just sort of an overview of forensics, and then we talk about evidence and what's the difference between physical evidence and circumstantial evidence. And so we have completed a unit on fingerprinting, on hair analysis, and now we're on our death and dying unit, which involves forensic entomology. And then we'll move on and do blood spatter and a little bit of document analysis before the end of the semester. Because it's fairly new, I'm not sure if I've really developed a favorite part yet, but I do like seeing when the students can make connections between a crime show that maybe they're watching and something that we've learned in class, some evidence or some concept we've learned. For example, if they're watching a show where there's blood spatter, and what is the evidence? Was it from a gun? Was it from a knife? Was it from an artery? Was it close up? Was it far away? And they know how to analyze that based on what they've learned.
That sounds amazing. Makes me feel like I'm on CSI or Criminal Minds. Thank you for that report, Quan. On the heels of a fascinating report by Houston's Channel 13 News, KEHS sat down with history teacher and track and cross-country coach, Mr. Julius Michael, to talk about his incredible life that has molded and shaped him into the person he is today.
This week we interviewed Mr. Michael about his past and how it helped shape his future.
The country, back then when I was born, it was known as Sudan. Now it's South Sudan, and basically it goes back to the time of imperialism and when the British colonized the territory, and then they left Africa and it was kind of like left in the hands of the Egyptians, and then Sudan kind of became its own independent country. But even then, people still had conflict, so they had always been at war. Part of it was for natural resources, oil specifically, but also religious tension between Christianity and people that practice Islam. And basically, they went to war. because of the war, I had to leave South Sudan when I was a young kid and ended up moving to Uganda. But it was just a lot of moving around. So I think the way it impacted my life is I learned how to adjust to change. So because you didn't really stay in one place for too long, we would live in one refugee camp for a little bit under the UN, and then you might get moved to another area. So you're constantly moving. You learn to appreciate other languages and cultures, because I would go into, like in Uganda, we might be speaking one language, and then you go like 20 miles outside, and then you learn outside the area you were living, and you pick up another language. I think for schooling, since we're in school right now, one of the things is there as far as break. We take the longest break, our equivalent of what summer is in the United States would be around December. So typically you go from like a little bit before Christmas all the way to like February. That's a long break. And school is very different. There's some schools that are very advanced like here, but where I grew up, it's obviously kind of similar to what you would see on the TV. In a refugee camp, most of our schools were under a tree. We didn't have a whole building like this. I think in one of our classes in the camps, it was actually a place where we had an actual building with a roof, but then we didn't have windows, so we would always get in trouble because when I get to school late, so I would climb through the window and try to sneak in without the teacher seeing me. So it was very different from here. I guess it was always growing up in East Africa. I mean, running is like we walked everywhere. Like we didn't drive to school, going to school or going somewhere. We always walked. So I guess you kind of build that mentality of being able to put up with pain and putting up with just endurance stuff. And when I first came to school, when I was in middle school, I played basketball, I played football, and I was always the fastest. So what we ended up doing was going from one, as far as with the sports, when I showed up for track, a kid, so most people wanted to do like the 100 meters, do the 200 meters, but the coach didn't have any other races, so didn't have people in the other races. So I just told the coach, well, put me in like the 800, 2 laps around the track, or put me in the one where we had to run 3 laps around the track, because no one else wanted to run it. And I just kind of decided to do what everybody else didn't want to do, and that's how I ended up being a runner. Not really, because I'm passionate about both of them, because I love running. I love working with the kids that run cross country and track here. But I also love history. Like I remember since third grade, I've always loved history. So I get to do those two things that I love. I don't know if I would pick one over the other, because the two go together. The relationship that I have with my students in the classroom, and then it's different from the relationship that I have with also my runners. So because I love it, I think it makes it easier for me to balance. If I hated it, then it would be more challenging. So I like it. It works.
All right. Well, thank you. That's all we have today. Thanks for your time.
Awesome.
Wow, what an awesome piece on the amazing story of our very own Mr. Michael. Now let's join field reporter Abigail Klinkerman as she gets the inside scoop on what's been happening in the EHS cafeteria.
Hi, welcome to the EHS cafeteria. I know you've been here before, but today I'd like to give you a behind-the-scenes look of what really goes on in the kitchen.
As you can imagine, the pandemic has offered a wide variety of challenges for the cafeteria staff in what they are able to serve, the way it's prepared, as well as how to get it to the public.
The kitchen is big enough for us to social distance, so we really didn't have an issue with that. The biggest challenge is being able to pivot on a dime and be able to mass produce high quantities of food to be able to feed at least 1,044 people on a daily basis. But we made a plan and stuck to it, and I think that was what helped us. But I do want to say that during this tough time, I can only give credit to my staff because they've been incredibly resilient and gung-ho about this and able to pivot on a dime and make things as seamless as possible, even though behind closed doors it's a lot of production that we've had to do.
Despite having a limited menu, our amazing staff has still been able to bring back some all-time favorites.
My favorite meal is the buffalo mac and cheese.
Buffalo mac and cheese. Mac and cheese bowl.
My favorite meal is the Indian butter chicken.
My favorite meal to make here is probably the butter chicken.
One of the biggest challenges or hoops that we had to go through was trying to figure out what we were going to serve on a daily basis, because we had to take into consideration the fact that people had to be in and out of the cafeteria at a certain time. So although people may think, oh my goodness, we're not getting the same amount of food or the same variety that we used to in the past, it's not because we don't want to do it, it's because of all the other things that go into that. We feed at least 300 and something people, or perhaps a little bit more, about 400 people in one lunch period in 12 minutes. So that's a success in itself.
I think we should all take a moment to give a huge thank you to the entire cafeteria staff for all the hard and innovative work they have accomplished this year. Turning to the athletic pillar, KEHS reporter Chase Jenkins talked to boys lacrosse head coach Mr. Michael Donnelly about the current lacrosse season and what the future holds for this program.
Hi, I'm Chase Jenkins, and today I interviewed the EHS boys lacrosse team and Coach Donnelly to see how their season's going and what the future holds for them. I spoke with Coach Donnelly on how he plans on finishing this season and how COVID has affected them this year.
We're 4-3 right now. We've played a pretty hard schedule to date, and we're looking to improve upon that. We should be pretty good by the end of the season. Obviously, this COVID is affecting us, with practice. I mean, our first game, we had guys on the field starting who had been there for one day. So that's impacting us.
Coach Donnelly also spoke to us about who to look out for the next coming years.
You should be watching out for Jackson Hearn, who's a sophomore.
I had the opportunity to speak with Jackson Hearn and what he brings to the table when it comes to him on the field.
I'm a pass-first attackman, and I like to dodge from behind and try to get my teammates open and give them space to work with and score goals. Our SBC just got canceled, and now we're just trying to make it to city finals and then hopefully win that and make it to state.
As we go back to Coach Donnelly, he speaks about the characteristics of the team and the senior leadership.
My team hustles and flies around. Coach Bradshaw and I couldn't be any happier. They're smart because of the senior leadership. And I expect us to do well, and we are.
Let's go get a swing. Go get a swing.
Ah! No. Oh, good pass. Senator!
Darius, I can make the sweetest deep cut ever.
We gotta move it! We got a hat trick. Let's go, bro. Hey, shout out overtime.
This is Chase Jenkins reporting live from KEHS News. Back to the studio.
It sounds like the lacrosse team is playing their hearts out and having a loaded program. I'm so excited for the underclassmen's potential. We will certainly keep track of their progress. Thanks, Chase. The JV girls golf team has been working hard for their upcoming tournament in the next few weeks. Olivia Henshaw spoke with a couple of members of the team about how they are preparing.
This upcoming week is the JV girls golf first game. They're very excited, and we talked to some of them about how they're feeling and how they're preparing.
So we have been practicing a ton these past few weeks for our upcoming tournament. We are going to the putting green and the weight room in Memorial Park to work on our skills. The new putting green is super convenient because we can stay on campus while golfing and have to dedicate areas toward golf. I'm super excited for the tournament, and I'm hoping for the best.
We've been practicing for 2 months now, and we feel well prepared to play in our tournament. Our coach staff helped us a lot. We're so grateful for them. We go to Memorial Park, the driving range, for a week for 2 hours, and we work on our swings and technique so we can improve. I'm so proud of how hard everyone has worked, and I'm excited to go out with the girls next Tuesday and give it our best shot.
Students and faculty wish you the best of luck. We hope that you all place well and try your hardest. I'm Olivia Hinshaw reporting for KEHS News. Go Knights!
Thanks for the report, Olivia. We're hoping for the best and that everyone places well.
The Lenten season comes to an end this Sunday with the arrival of Easter, and KEHS interviewed students and the teachers about their Easter traditions and celebrations. Here's Jamie DeGeorge.
In this segment, we interviewed students and teachers about their Easter traditions and celebrations. We interviewed students and teachers on what their plans are for Easter and if they celebrate.
This Easter, I plan on hanging out with my family on the weekend. We'll have a nice family dinner, watch a church service online. I'm going to hang out with some of my friends. It's a nice long weekend. I'm excited.
No, we don't really celebrate Easter.
Yes, my family celebrates Easter every single year. When I was little, we would always do like Easter egg hunts and have all the candy and stuff. But yeah, we're probably not going to do that this year. But you know, yeah, we still celebrate.
Some of my friends who's Christians, they do celebrate Easter.
Thank you for watching this news segment. We hope everyone has a safe and fun Easter holiday.
Well, that's all we have on this week of KnightVision News. I'm Rachel Barker.
And I'm Megan Knight. From all of us at KEHS News, thank you for joining us.
And go Knights!